Welcome back to the Uncomfortable is Okay podcast. I'm your host, Chris Desmond. This is a show where we help you get better at doing hard things. In this Friday mini episode, we're going to talk through another strategy to help you get out of your comfort zone. This one is the third person. So what is it? When you make a tough or an emotional decision, you can help yourself through by talking about yourself in the third person. So as you talk through the different options that you could choose to go with, instead of saying, I could do that, say Chris, or insert name here, could do that. Then list out each of the options that you might take and the reasons that you might take them, but talk or write or think about them in the third person. As you go through the decision-making process and narrow your options, continue to talk about yourself in the third person, because thinking this way will allow you to make a more rational and less emotional choice about the eventual course of action that you're going to take. So where do I apply it? You want to use this strategy when you're faced with an emotionally charged decision. And it can be either a short-term or long-term situation. So for those short-term situations, it tends to be for an action that you know that you need to complete, but that discomfort is holding you back from. For example, I've got a phone call that I need to make where the outcome of the conversation is kind of uncertain, and this is going to create some discomfort for me, and I'm initially reluctant to pick up the phone because of the discomfort around the uncertain outcome. But a simple Chris is going to make this phone call can help me. Can spur me along to pick up the phone and to get past the discomfort. But you can also use it in a long-term scenario to help you make a decision for a direction that you're going to take or for some important action that you need to perform down the line. When you've got a big decision that you know is going to be emotionally charged, use the third-person approach to create some distance from that emotion. And in the context of the book that I'm writing, I'm really suggesting that you use it when you're feeling what people perceive as negative emotions. So stress, fear, anxiety, sadness, those ones that really hold us back from stepping out and maybe taking that action that is going to be uncomfortable for us, but is actually going to be the one that pushes us forward the most. But you can also use it to temper what we perceive as positive emotions as well. So things like happiness or excitement. And you'll want to use it for these positive emotions if you think that perhaps these positive emotions might be pushing you towards an option that might not be in your best interest long term. So using that third person strategy just to hold yourself back and negate that excited emotion and that positive emotion, as well as perhaps pushing you forward out of those negative emotions. So the strategy in action. Using the strategy out loud in front of a whole lot of people may get you labeled as a narcissist. You're probably safe to do it in the confines of your own room or somewhere where you're by yourself or with a couple of trusted mates. But there are also numerous examples out there of people doing this in the media, this getting broadcast out to a whole lot of consumers. And this is especially the case with a lot of sports stars. One of the more famous examples is LeBron James in 2010 when he was deciding whether to stick with the Cleveland Cavaliers in his home state of Ohio, or to move to Florida to join the Miami Heat, which was going to really push his career forward, and he was going to get to play with some pretty awesome players there. When he was announcing the decision to the media, LeBron said, "One thing I didn't want to do was make an emotional decision. I wanted to do what's best for LeBron James and to do what makes LeBron James happy." So from that statement, you'll be able to see that initially he speaks in the first person, but when he talks about not wanting to make an emotional decision, he uses the third person context to distance himself from the emotions of that decision. Why does it work? So research has shown that using the third person technique is a really effective way to distance yourself from the emotions that are wrapped up in a whole lot of decisions that we need to make. It allows you to unravel the emotions about who you believe yourself to be as a person from that decision. So taking the emotional stuff away from your identity. And in other words, it allows you to drop your ego and make a decision more from a rational standpoint rather than an emotionally reactive one, where we get caught up in the discomfort of that emotion. But another cool point about this strategy is that there's also been a whole lot of research that has shown that it reduces the stress around people encountering future difficulties. So people that use this strategy view uncomfortable times more as challenges and less as threats, which leads them to taking on and overcoming these obstacles more efficiently, more effectively. So that's the third person strategy. This is one of the strategies that's going to be in the Get Out of My Comfort Zone book that I'm currently writing. If you want to sign up to keep up to date with how that's going and be notified when the first copies are released and probably get a pretty sweet discount on it as well, then you can head over to getoutofmycomfortzone.com, pop your email address in there. I'll flick you a couple of the strategies straight off the bat so that you can make a start applying them. Thank you so much for getting uncomfortable with me today, and talk to you all again next week.